Namaskar. There has been a lot of talk about the recent controversy involving the hijab in the state of Karnataka in India. And we have given you one video where we explained how whole thing was cooked up using one organization called the Campus Front of India, which happens to be a sister unit of Popular Front of India. I'm going to talk about this Popular Front of India and the kind of reputation it enjoys in India. For those of you who may feel outraged, you can go and look at the reference links that we have provided, and many other subject matter specialists have come on my channel to explain what is going on with this unit, radical Islamic unit called Popular Front of India. What I want to emphasize here is these kind of organizations feel encouraged when United States especially tries to pilot a bill such as the Islamophobia Bill. What is wrong about it is that it is being done just because somebody feels like the community is being discriminated against. However, this is being done without fully understanding what this particular religion has evolved into today. Unless you understand some of the problems about the basic tenets of the religion and how it needs to also inwardly introspect and fix these things, you cannot tell the world that you are being victimized or you can't play victim when you inherently have some challenges. I've told this to you again in the previous hangout as to why I have a problem with this whole concept. First, you need to fix some things basic, some fundamentals before you can start pointing at others. But in all this melee, when you have all these various people weighing in, what happens is the perception is something else, that it's okay to do this because somebody else is there giving us cover. What in the United States is doing is inadvertently giving cover for someone that feels emboldened by these kinds of nonsensical bills. It should have never been passed in Congress. Some of the Democrats probably were not fully understanding of what it involved passing this kind of a legislation, and therefore I hope there is a considerable amount of rethink and that you completely shelve this bill. And I'll show you with proof all the different incidents that is involving the Popular Front of India, also called as PFI. This organization came out of another organization that was banned after its involvement in many terrorist incidents was found. That's called SIMI, S-I-M-I. SIMI morphed into PFI. Now, many people are saying that, let us ban PFI and everything will be fine. No, it will not be fine. They'll go and change the name to something else. There are a lot of gaps in the way India is implementing its law and order. I'm going to put that also front, because this is not a single problem where we are saying that, okay, somebody is bad, somebody is good, and that this is how it's going to be solved. There are lots of shades of gray. Please bear with me until the end. So let's start first with this one document link that I've given, where there's a detailed list of incidents involving some of the terrorist organizations in Kerala. That list starts from 2018 and works its way back all the way to 10 years to 2008. Pretty long list. You can take a look at it and see how many incidents of terror have been involved and how many involve these kinds of organizations. Whether it is there is a unit that says that it is the ISIS in India, this is PFI, and so on and so forth. Now, in 2019, we started detecting a pattern. The pattern is that every 3 months, Popular Front of India or somebody connected with this will go and hack to death a Hindu religion follower who tends to speak up. And I want to really tell you what happened on the 5th of February 2019. There's a gentleman called Ramalingam. He was belonging to a village. I don't know a lot about him, but he was a farmer. He was well-to-do there. And what the PFI used to do is they would make periodic visits to this village to try and convert the Dalits of that village. The village already had a small Muslim population, and these guys were trying to go there with inducements to try and convert even more people. So what is supposed to have happened was, this was some months before the actual February 9th, sometime maybe in 2018. What happened was, one time Ramalingam confronted these people. I believe they come periodically. So he told them, look, you want me to wear the skull cap, So he let them put the skull cap on his head. Then I also want you to wear the vibhuti, which is sacred ash. So he took some sacred ash and he put it on the forehead of the person who put the skull cap. Okay. Now, this somewhere really rattled them, and they said that this guy has to be taught a lesson. So what they did was they went back and planned. This is all in the FIR that was filed. And I'll tell you what happened to that FIR. And this is how the law and order in India also needs to be tweaked properly to get it to work correctly. Now, what they found was this guy goes to the town or somewhere out in his van, and he returns late at night. Now, they've mapped out his return path. They found one place near this Muslim colony I told you about, where the road narrows to such an extent that only one car can go through that in one direction. So what they did was they ambushed him right there. So once he entered that area, they got cars from behind and from the front, so he could neither move forward nor back. Then they confronted him. They forced him to down his window, the driver's side window, and they pulled out his right hand, the hand that applied the sacred ash, and his son was sitting on the pillion. Somebody held his son so he couldn't move. Son is also quite old. And what they did was they first cut his hand, the hand that put the ash. And then they cut a vein and made him to bleed to death. This is called as halal killing. Many of you who may not know about halal killing, this is what halal killing is. You first drain, whether it's the animal or any other thing, you drain the blood and then only start making meat out of it. I'm not a meat eater, so I don't know enough about it, but this is what happened in this particular case. So once that man bled out to death, they vanished from the scene. The son, poor guy, ran from hospital to hospital to try and get his father revived, but it was too late. Now, this happened on the 5th of February. Now, the police moved in. They arrested, I think, about 9 people in 2 waves of 4 and 5 or 5 and 4. It's not important. The interesting thing is those people who were arrested were not the people who actually committed the crime according to the son. So this is one problem that Indian legal system has. They don't arrest the guy who perpetrates it. They go and arrest somebody else. Sometimes somebody else puts up his hand and say, oh, I was the one who did it. So the police needs to be able to weed out these kinds of untruths at the beginning. Why? Because when this thing goes through the due process of law, the case will collapse at some point of time because the evidence will be presented as if the guy was not even there, right? So what happened was these people were jailed, then they were produced in front of a judge and they were given bail, and even those people have gone missing. So you have the original perpetrators who are not traceable. Then now the fakes are also gone missing. This was on the 5th of February 2019. Then a few months later, April 21st, 2019, Easter Sunday, blasts across Sri Lanka, suicide bombers, many hundreds killed. This is now they were not only hitting churches, they were also trying to go after some places where tourists abound. Remember that this was pre-COVID and Sri Lanka attracts a lot of tourists. In fact, tourism is their main industry. And the planning, it transpired later, was all done in Kerala and in Tamil Nadu of India. In fact, India's intelligence agencies had tipped Sri Lanka of something of this nature, and something went wrong there. The Sri Lankan government didn't act in time, and unfortunately that thing happened. So in July, or I think June of 2019, they caught hold of, they busted the module which had planned all this stuff. Again, there is a link in references section of this video. You can take a look at that to know more details. I want people who are getting outraged by what I'm saying to understand where I am going with this. So after that, there was a lull, a brief lull. Now, what happened on November 15th, 2021? An RSS worker, his name is Sanjith, Sanjith, 26 years old, has a small baby. He works in a company. His wife works in another company. And now he was going to drop his wife at her workplace on a motorcycle. Now he got waylaid. This is, I think, around 9 a.m. or something, or 9:30 a.m. in the morning. Broad daylight. He was waylaid and he was stabbed multiple number of times right in front of his wife and bled to death again. Now, that is November 15th, 2021. Now, let's fast forward. Hijab controversy started, and I have told you in a previous video how they had planned out the dates by doing all these WhatsApp messaging, Twitter, and so on and so forth, the campus in front of India. Now, on 20th February 2022, another Hindu worker of VHP, Vishwa Hindu Parishad, Harsha, was hacked to death. Now, this, I have put a tweet link. If you listen to that, this is in Kannada, one of the relatives of the boy who died, and she is describing something very grotesque. What she says is that there were at least 30 to 40 motorcycles, two-wheelers, with a pillion rider. That means 60 to 80 people, and they came and ambushed him in the middle of the night. Now, he was with 4 other people. There were a total of 5 of them, and the 4 vanished when, well, they ran away, they fought, they vanished. We don't know. It's sketchy at this point of time, but they isolated him and they hacked him to death. If you look at social media, you can even see him slowly die, because you can see his act. He's able to turn his head, and people are screaming, let's get an ambulance, let's get an ambulance, this, that, and so on and so forth. And that is how this person died. November, and now February, another 3 months. So the idea here is to kill, but also shock people into thinking, oh my God, if I open my mouth for my religion, I'm going to be the next target. Understand this. When people like Ilhan Omar or Rashad Hussain start commenting about events in India, it makes these people who are semi-literate, who have been taught nothing but to hate people of other religions, that this is what they're doing is right. Oh, because somebody in US said that this is okay. So understand this thing. Act with some maturity, guys. In US, we are not really acting with maturity, in my opinion, at this point of time. There are many other problems the world is facing. It behooves us to act responsibly. Now, what I am afraid is that this case also, even if it goes to the National Investigative Agency, which is the apex body, the highest investigative agency that looks into all kinds of angles, terror angles, and so on and so forth. But the problem is when fake people come and say that I am the guy who did it, then they change their mind in front of a judge and say, no, somebody just came and picked me up from the place. I was never there, or somebody will give them a fake alibi. The whole case collapses. So what remains at the end? The terrorism, the feeling of terror by people who are practicing their religion, who see that if one community doesn't catch you, another community catches you. So this is how India is being attacked from within. The least that people outside can do is stop funding these vultures, and don't check where your donations are going. Please, this doesn't behoove us. If human beings cannot sit and watch other human beings being hacked like this. There are many people spewing venom in their schools, and that needs to be stopped too. France has started taking a lot of steps. I hope the rest of the world follows. And if this doesn't stop, we are headed for very, very bad times in the years and decades to come. Thanks for watching. Do like, share, and subscribe to this channel. And please don't forget to click on the bell button. Namaskar.